pretty much it's on purpose that I'm titling the show like this. And my little virtual assistants are back. But yeah. Yeah. So what brought me to this topic? Something I've been thinking about for a while. Something that has come up in the radar since last year. But I'll tell you how it all started. First of all, majority of my life is spent up north. Even if I traveled outside of the city, I still was up north. Maybe go to the south for a little while, a week or two, then go back up north. Nothing real big, right? Well, I first paid attention to a lot of the type of music and the musical sounds that comes from people who live in colder regions or mountainous regions or watery regions like islands and lakes and rivers and oceans and things like that. People who come from these particular regions and what kind of musical sound do you get, you know, and how you can hear similar musical sound from people who live in a certain region. And I also saw something on TikTok where it talked about southern living and northern living and how colder regions versus regions that's more hotter, and how that people who live in colder spaces had to rush to get their food, to get things out of the grocery store or whatever they had to do at the market, because they took the chance of somebody dying from the cold. So they had to go in there, get what they had to go and get going. And I was like, that makes sense, you know? And being in the city, walking fast and always being on the move, right? I was like, okay, that. It also said that people in the more hotter regions were more religious or more, they said spiritual, but more religious because of the natural disasters that they get, the tropical storms, the tornadoes, the hurricanes, and stuff like that. So if you really think about it, colder regions don't get those type of weathers. You get what I'm saying? They don't get those type of, like even if a hurricane or tornado pulls through, it don't really have an effect. It just have some heavy winds or something that comes through the water, or it just breezes by. It never really hits directly, unless it was like a Hurricane Sandy, which was one of the biggest hurricanes that ever hit NYC. You know what I'm saying? NYC in New Jersey. You know what I'm saying? So all of these different things. But then something else came to mind. Mm-mm-mm. Mm. Then it hit me, right? Excuse me. I know it's in the morning. I know what I do in the morning. Start noticing most of y'all people who are these manosphere, these divested black women, and all these things. Most of y'all are from the South. And I noticed that people up north have a different mindset, a different success mindset, a different style, a different mentality, a different work ethic than Southern people. People up north or in any colder region have more of a hustler spirit and mindset. And there are things we just don't care to think about. We don't take the time to even allow to be in our radar. And places in these type of regions that have more up north people, such as the Charlottes, the Atlanta, and this. Well, Atlanta is more of a melting pot. Charlotte is too, but it's still a lot of up north people. I notice the energy of what it brings to that area in that town. You see, Southern people are more upbeat and happy. At least that's what they put out there. They're always smiling. Southern people do not have the same mindset to hit the library and read books and do things like that. If you're in the South and you see people sitting down in the library reading the books, guaranteed you, or sitting down reading a book somewhere, guaranteed you that person is not from that. That's not from the South. Most of the time, they're going to probably be from a big city area. Feel me? Then there's the aspect of conversation and lifestyle. I think that the reality of people who live in colder regions, we have the reality of death. We have the cold, we have a literal cold reality of life that these people in these other regions do not have. We are counting the Midwest because the Midwest get brick. Okay. We count California because California does get brick. The thing about California is California also has very beautiful weather, but it's also by the mountains and the water and these different things. This is why you have the Hollywood and the homelessness and the living in a tent. You have this different split dynamic of lifestyle in California. And I believe weather plays a part of it. The actual weather plays a part of that. City people do not know how to act when it's hot outside. Like when I say don't know how to act, it's going to be a fight on the bus. It might be a fight on the train. People might try to fight you just because they hot. City people are not the best people when they are hot in hot regions. And I learned too by being a city person that sometimes I actually do miss the cold a little bit. I actually like the cold weather down here a little bit. I can handle this cold. I could just throw on a hoodie, a vest, put a scarf on, wrap my face, and I'm good. I don't have to do the extra rigmarole. Mm-mm. All right, so check this out too. What you have is up north people in colder regions have far more intelligence. This is why you don't see up north people laughing at immigrants being deported. This is why you don't hear up north people talking about how do I say this? You don't hear up north people going in about black and white dating. Just go do your own stuff. This is why you have the manosphere and they have their meeting in like Atlanta, somewhere in Georgia somewhere. And it looks very church-like. This is why up north people go to retreats and they take people out to Puerto Rico, Honduras. They take people across seas to Barcelona. They go to London. They take people out on these certain type of trips and retreats, and they take these traveling groups and stuff that they're in, because that's the mindset of the person in the colder northern region. Somebody from up north, you will never hear them say, "Oh, I've always wanted to go to such and such, such and such." We just go. And if we don't never go, we have a reason why we never went. I never got a chance to go to Salem, Mass. If I ever really wanted to go, I would have went, but I just never really went. You get what I'm saying? When I wanted to go to Canada, you got to have a passport to go to Canada. I was going to go on a Chinese bus. So you got to have a passport. You could take the fucking Chinese bus to Mass, to Boston. So there's ways to travel. And that's something we understand as Northern people. We love to travel. We love to go out. We love to explore. We love to live. We love to do these things. Southern people are more at home. You can barely get a Southern person to really want to even go on a cruise. You can barely get a Southern person to want to travel across seas. Get what I'm saying? Up north people can take books, can take information and read it and dissect it with their own mind. Southern people don't have this same way of thinking, or people in, well, we're going to say in the South, they don't have this same way of thinking. That's why Southern people who have this way of thinking tend to always gravitate to having more Northern friends, or people in, like, what we're going to say up north, colder region friends. And then people in these regions also attract other people in colder regions. So New York City people like to go to London, like to go to Norway, like to go to the Netherlands. I don't know if Barcelona is cold. People talk about Barcelona. But these are the areas they like to go. And then some of them even hit up Africa. You know what I'm saying? Hold on. My phone tripping, y'all. Hold on. Some even go to Africa. But why? We have these. I want y'all to just really study what I'm saying to you. We have all these people who sit here and from these certain regions that have certain conversations in a certain way or discuss things in a certain way versus others who clown around, the southern region people who clown around, who joke, who gotta always clap back and all this extra shit and all this kind of childish like shit. And northern people have a more serious way that and serious demeanor how we do things. If you notice the guy Clue who called in and his energy and how he communicated, there was something upbeat and like jokey about his energy. And you can see my energy is more serious, listening and observing. Because that is the energy of being from up north. This is a conflict of interest I have with my own parents because they laugh and joke so much, and I'm a very serious person. I'm a very serious person. And the reason these type things happen, hold on, is because what I noticed too is even if you go into a panel and you have a northern accent, or you gonna have a northern accent and you're amongst other southern people, like yesterday was this dude talking that was clearly from Brooklyn. And I just caught this energy that other people really didn't like him because of the way he talked. Hold on. And he kind of did sound like a very animated New Yorker. He did. He had that animated New Yorker sound. But what made me realize that he was not, because I told him where I was from. And he finished it off. And he told me where he was at. So there's a way that we communicate to one another. Everybody all over has an accent with a language within the accent. The thing about up north people, we understand people in colder regions, is that we understand that we do that amongst people as ourselves or the people that we're comfortable with. And southern people tend to do it to everybody, no matter the race. And this is where the conflict and the insecurities come in. Okay. I spent most of my life up north raising my grandmother. I don't have a connection to my parents. That has caused this bridge between me and them. That's a lifestyle that made me grow up faster and mature faster because I was around older people and I made my life with my family. Much more serious person. Don't really joke and play around like that. Not my style. And I tell you all, like, I just ain't the same since my grandma died. And that's just what it is. Another thing, up north people have a harsher life reality. Up north people, up north women especially, we get to see the raw, honest truth about what people are in the streets and stuff, unless you live a certain kind of life where you don't engage in that life or you don't know nothing about it. Southern people and people in other regions, they find the hood to be fun. They find the hood to be cute. They find the hood nigga to be something to be glorified because it can be fun for them. But it ain't the same story for us. You get what I'm saying? You also find people in the Caribbean, which is an island surrounded by water. That's why it's an island. And you hear the harsh reality, because I've noticed in Jamaica, there's mountains out there too. In Haiti and Dominican Republic, there's mountains. Haiti's more mountainous. There's harsher reality of how people die and how women get fucking brutalized, and the men, because trust me, when there's spaces of women being brutalized, the men are being brutalized too. Stories of people being chopped up and shit like that. These are stories I heard straight out the horse's mouth. straight out the horse's mouth. But this is still regional areas. It's an island. It's still water. It's still mountainous. Even though Caribbean people are laid back people, there's some Caribbean are very hardcore Caribbean people. There's a wonder, why don't Caribbean people just go to the South? Why do Caribbean people get transported up north? Why there? Because it's a vibrational thing. The Caribbean in the South is not the Caribbean up north. The Jamaican in goddamn Louisiana is not the Jamaican in goddamn Brooklyn. You feel me? One is going to be way more hardcore than the other one. Way more serious than the other one. That's another part of my seriousness, being raised around Caribbean culture. Very serious, very suppressed culture of people. That denies the reality of colorism and the classism. Yeah, they deny that. They are, I think it's a beautiful thing that they're not limited to how they come here and they look for a job as Americans do, but they still make way. That's why the ones who do come here and had more of an American experience, they're a little bit more pro-black or revolutionary because they realize the fucking separatism of it all. All right. Hold on. Somebody texting me. Another thing. Understand the reason these conversations don't have any depth. The reason these people are always clowning and going back and forth and all this and that is because up north, we can be honest, we can be real, we can be, I don't fuck with you. You know, that's how it is. And be like, I don't fuck with you. In the southern regions, they don't do that. They still fuck with people, even if they don't like people, or if somebody fuck with somebody, they don't really fuck with them, they'll still fuck with them. That's what they do. Up north, if I fuck with A, but I don't fuck with B right here, then fuck B. See what I'm saying? But I fuck with A heavy. This my nigga right here. This right here, I don't fuck with you, B. That's how it goes up north. We don't give a fuck about none of that. Anyway, but they're not like that in other spaces. So it makes it more shady. Okay? Northern people, we just don't play with people. That's just how we are. We just don't play. And the thing is, it comes out to be this as well. These people who are passport bros and stuff, once again, check their accents. They don't know culture or other cultures the way that we do. They don't get to experience it the way that we do. Even though the city is separatist, very separate, there's some of us that actually get to be around other cultures and people and different fucking personalities and so many different fucking people. There's so many of us that get to do that. And so we also have the reality in our face that we can go outside of America, that there's an experience outside of America, because we have these peoples, these foreigners here that we engage with in order to know that, because that's where the conversations extend with us. Well, in my country, we do it this way and this way, or we go to school together, or we learn. A lot of us, we just take ourselves to college and do different things just because. But why does the Southern woman come off as the most stupidest one? I didn't want to put that in the title because of YouTube. But why does the Southern woman come off as the most stupidest one? Let's mark that at 26 minutes and 30 seconds. Because it's not the same spiritual understanding and self-reflection as the Black woman up north. And I didn't even want to go and make it a black or white thing, but for some reason that slipped out. It just slipped out. Yeah. That's why she comes off stupid. See, Cardi B, she's married to a Southern man. And so therefore Cardi B comes off very stupid, because up north women, off north people are not associated with happiness. We're not associated with joy. We're not associated with anything that involves even comedy, even though there's plenty of northern comedians, but we're not associated with that. That's Southern thing. Why does she come off so dumb? Because she has no depth. And what she defines as depth for herself, the northern woman has been doing that in her 20s and maybe even her early 30s or her late 20s. The northern woman may have got that message early than what she recognized. I noticed that. The northern woman also, she will be more prone to open up a book and educate herself on her own and choose to go to college, go to school, and further her education for herself, for what she wants to grow and learn or what she wants to go to school for. But it won't limit to how much she's going to still continue to read. And hopefully if my screen share works, I'm going to show you someone that someone presented to me. And I think she's the great example of the woman up north. And I look at her and sometimes I laugh because it's me. I look at myself when I look at her, but I understand why, because she is the kind of person that I know I would have definitely been friends with. Okay. Also, I also noticed that the Southern woman, unfortunately, does not see how seething the male is in her culture. She does not see how underhanded and conniving that he is. But the northern woman does see it. The northern woman is not impressed by flattery. She doesn't need to be validated. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that, just hear me out for a minute. Because, we have a lot of broads that need validation and all this and that. But the northern bitch that needs that validation, she stands on her whole shit. I need you to understand that. She stands on her whole shit. She ain't going to run in no church, pray to nobody, ask for no forgiveness. She stands on her whole shit, and when that hoe ready to get married, that bitch get married. Okay, I don't have no problem with the hoes in the up north hoes. Okay, that's just what I've always seen. It's a cold world out there. That's all I gotta say. Now, get into it. She doesn't see that. The reason you have a Princella, the reason why you have her writing books like the 52 Shades of Men, how they, use and seduce you, and then you listen to that book and it's like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P for Princella. That's how it feels, because that's the level of women that she is communicating with. That's the level. Do you know why I left her group? Because of Risa Tisa, another woman from the South, from Georgia, from Risa Tisa. And I said, you Christian women, y'all come from a religion that tells you not to question nothing, and that's your problem. And that woman got mad as fuck. I offended the fuck out of that bitch. I offended the fuck. She was really pissed off, trying to say all kind of that she couldn't bring a logical conversation to the table. That's a sign of being unintelligent. When someone is attacking you, that is a sign that they don't have the intelligence to go against what you have to say, or to go toe to toe with what you have to say. Okay. The thing is, she is the one to fucking the men who hate women the most. She is the one fucking a man who is not himself at all. She is the one fucking a man who is perceived as alpha male, but he is insecure, weak, and he needs to be validated just as she does. Because what she is what he is, and it doesn't matter the race. The Southern woman is threatened by the Northern woman's poise and style and confidence in herself, in her silence. The Southern woman, now, I'm talking about the ones who I'm sure y'all can follow the conversation, understand. I'm talking about the ones who got the problem, not the ones who I don't have to get into that. But this is the problem with the Southern and Northern woman. Because the Northern woman has an air of self-love and freedom that she does not have, that she does not know how to have. The Northern woman knows how to reject and say no, and she doesn't know how to do that. The Northern woman can say something as simple as, well, Dominican is nothing but a Caribbean. Nobody really calls, we know they speak Spanish, but they're Caribbean, where I'm from. The Northern woman says, oh, if you go to New York City, definitely go to the Broadway shows. Those are my favorite, and it's worth the money. And if you're from out of town, they'll give you a good deal. This is what the Northern woman says. Northern woman embraces her education. But let's get to that. You see, these men that have been going off about women, most of them had Southern accents. They didn't have, like, how far did they go with their accent? Maybe Virginia somewhere? That's still the South. But there was no one doing this that had a Northern accent. None of them. And if they had one, they were more than likely from the South. I remember all of this. I've been thinking about this before I start talking about it. Then the thing is, the ignorance that come out their mouth and the things that they say. The Northern woman knows how to think for herself. She does. The Northern woman really knows how to think for herself, or she finds a way to think for herself. She will read a book called The Superior Man. She will read a book called The Alpha Male. Whatever it is that she wants to study, she will. She will go abroad to go study. She will advance her vocabulary, her reading skills, her fighting skills, her debating skills. She will continue to elevate herself in her mind consistently and constantly. The Southern woman, unless she has some Northern West Coast type experience, she's not going to do that for herself. She doesn't know how. She doesn't even know how to dress up for herself, put on makeup, or just paint her nails or do her nails. She doesn't know. And if a woman does do these things in pocketbooks and shit, she's referred to as a stuck up bitch. So what? We don't give a fuck about stuck up bitches. Up north, we love stuck up bitches. We love them mean stuck up bitches. It's her prerogative to be that way. But see, it's not the same. And the thing is, it comes to a matter of something else too. I think that the problem that is happening here is that, one second, y'all. Hold on, y'all. Damn, we want to do that. So it might be 789. Let me see where I'm at. 1 second, y'all. Counting something. 789. 397. Hold on. 1 second. I gotta do something. I think I'm gonna give her. No, it's not even 45. It's Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Tuesday, I'm going to give them money Friday. Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Damn, it's literally Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. So that's like $35. 1,012. I'm going to subtract $3. So it's 1,009. Okay. Subtract 400. Let's be back to 6. Subtract 290. I don't think it's that many. Back to 3. Might be more than that. All right, I just had to count some money up, y'all. Might be more than that. I think it's going to be more than that. All right, so let's get to an example of what I'm talking about. And I'm not even going to show a video. I'm not going to show shit. Where is she? Where is she? I'm just going to show just a clip of what this person looks like. I might just put them on the screen share. Hold on. I might have to just hold on. I know I'm spelling her name right. Oh, it's Lu. My bad. Here we go. Come on, y'all. Make sure my screen share works, y'all. Let's go. Fair use, fair use. I am only showing this video for the purpose of education, not to make mockery of the woman on the screen or her channel. This is for education and criticism purposes only. Let me do it this way. It don't matter. Hold on. Let me just, I think I could just close this down. There we go. I need to do that more. All right. So now, alternative Black woman. Very, very well spoken. Okay. Typical person like myself that I would definitely talk to. Okay. Now, very unique, creative. She wears her hair different ways. I like that about her. She works out her body. I really like that about her. And she's smart. The words she used, you could tell that her life is dedicated to whatever it is that it's dedicated to, whatever she does. That's what her life is focused on. And this is the way of the up north woman. She does not in no way feel like she has to compromise what she's talking about so that she can get people to get to her level. Like you have to reach her level. That's what you got to do. You have to reach her level. She's not going to compromise herself for you to get to her level. And that's on purpose. If you cannot get to the level of conversation that she speaks about, then you just ain't at her level. That is the mindset of the Northern woman. That's what I'm saying. This woman, her presentation about things is not in a way for kicks and giggles and laughs and snide remarks. Her presentation about things is by the way that she thinks and the way that she reads it. I love her very Black history of punk rock. It made me really want to see. The thing about studying punk rock is I actually want to get a physical book. I don't want to just listen to the audio book, but it looks like audio books are my best. They'll have to become my best friends lately. Okay. Hold on, let me bother my neighbor. Watch this. You get a pumpkin spice iced latte. I had a situation where I noticed that the neighbor was like, why do you always get Starbucks? Said it's a city thing. Right? Then I sat here and while I was walking around the house, I was like, well, why is that a city thing? And I had to think about it. And I was like, oh, it's coffee. It's hot. Free internet. And we hang out in fucking Starbucks. Starbucks is the shit. Like, why not? You know, anybody that's vegan and vegetarian, they got all the right shit for you, right? These are the things. And I'm like, yeah, it is an up north thing. Up north women want to know where your mind is at when you're in the presence of her. There's a depth that the up north woman has in how she carries herself, in her eyes, in her smile, if she smiles, in her voice. This depth. Let's look at something so you can understand. Why is my computer? Hold on, headphone users, get ready. Gotta move. My wire was like right under the computer. What's going on here? Why is it wobbling? Okay, now we in business. It's wobbling. All right, y'all. I'm gonna go ahead and play one of her clips. Defeating fascism, I think she said, doesn't mean becoming friends with liberals. I don't know. Let me go ahead and this one I just loved it because I like her shirt. Let's go.
The United States has experienced cycles of tyranny since its inception. For some, the United States represents only this experience. A disillusioned liberal establishment has begun to worry that this country might be losing its democracy. However, the democracy some fear to lose was never achieved for many of us in the first place. The ability to participate in U.S. society has been an ongoing battle for the descendants of the...
See, the thing is, the divestors will call her a mammy. Why is that? Why is a spiritual woman? Because we get back to the up north and southern thing. Why is a spiritual woman? Why is a woman who is in tune with herself, in tune and into reading books? In tune with books and these different things, the things I just described the up north woman to have. Why are these southern divested women? I know we hear some of them that are northern and that's it, but I guarantee you they probably have some kind of southern background, parents or something. I guarantee you. Why are these southern divested women, because most of them are southern, why do they have such a problem with this? Because their southern women come from a religious ideology and they brought their religious ideology into spirituality. The yoni egg bitch down south ain't the same yoni egg bitch up north. The yoni egg bitch up north is going to tell you where the yoni egg comes from Asian women, by the way, the history of it, a book about it, probably 3 or 4 books about it, and she probably took a course on the yoni egg. That's the fucking difference of the northern woman versus the southern woman. See, the northern woman may come from a Caribbean or African background for real though. She may come from an Asian background for real though. And this is the great divide between the South, the North, or the people in colder regions versus hotter regions. There's a mentality and personality that comes with it. Why is this topic even a topic? Because the South is the place where you see different baby mamas and different baby daddies. You are shunned, thrown away, and shamed up north when you are that way. You are thrown into the projects. You are thrown to the side. You are the country bumpkins of up north, and nobody fucks with you or respects you. That's what happens to you. You're dragging 5, 6 children by multiple men living in the shelter. No one likes you up north. That's accepted in the South. That's accepted in Uhatta region places. That's not accepted up there. This is why you don't find this, Lord. That's why you don't find the northern women between none to 3 children the most. We are not baby makers. We don't do that. If she's making babies like that, she's married, she's a Muslim. But she also is with the Muslim man who has a fucking business that has something to provide for the family. That's how it goes up north. You're not going to live long as a woman with multiple children like that living up north. You're going to die. And there are cases of women with multiple children like that, and they have died. And that's the reality of us up north. She deals with facts and the reality of life. She's harder on herself in life. She accepts the reality. Even in divestment, she does it her way, especially if she's already birthed Black children. In my case, I tell you, I have my children are children, they're Black, but they're children of color because I have a Caribbean background. And they're also being raised in the suburbs. So they're already being raised as alternative Black children just by me being their mother. This is the life of an up north woman. She's mindful of children that she makes in this world and how they're raised and the choices she makes with them. She's mindful of the environment that she has her children in. She's mindful of these things. Okay? She's also very mindful of the up north woman. She understands what womanhood is. She understands that being grown is not because I fuck and make a baby. She understands that maturity and all of this stuff deals with her mind, how she thinks and what comes out of her mouth, and how she demands to be respected. When she locks her hair, it's with purpose. Not because it's a trend or not because she wants some nigga to like her. You're not going to find a lot of pick-me's from up north, but you will find them in the South. See, the thing about the Southern woman is she's insulting because she's good at comedy and laughter and jokes and mockery. She's very good at that. She's very childish, right? Because she's jealous of what the Northern woman is because of the men that she fucks. And even if she's a woman that is with women, it still doesn't matter. She still has this validation from men that she needs. I straight ignored the man in the store that was talking behind me. I didn't look at him. I didn't know what he looked like. But I know he was offended. I felt it. He thought about it later. Like, she didn't even fucking look at me. She didn't even talk back to me. And when she did, she said, "We don't pay people no attention." He thought about that shit. That shit got to him. See, they meet a lot of northern frauds that talk too much, that brag about whatever life they had in the city or whatever. They ain't been there since the 90s. Those are frauds. But when they meet a real up north woman or up north person, we're just talking about women here, what happens is they're offended. Northern women are too fucking sharp. She don't really have to read Semen Chemical Warfare to know that Mel's energy is affecting her. I remember Kia was once telling me, "I don't like having sex. Sex make me lazy. Weed make me lazy. I used to smoke weed all day and do nothing. I hate weed. I don't like weed. Make me do nothing. I don't like to have sex because sex makes me so tired, makes me so lazy when I have sex. But when I don't have sex, I'm more powerful. I run more. I can run like I used to. I can jog. I can do the things that I used to. I'm so much more powerful when I don't have sex." And she drilled that in me. And there was another woman who said, "You don't give away your sex. That's your power." I had women drilling this in me for years. And every time I hit a depressive state in my life, I started realizing what I was doing, what kind of people came around me, what choices I was making. When I had to face my mental illness and I did something about it. But I more so looked around who was around me, what kind of women were around me, what kind of people were around me. When I was around more northern people, life was so much better. Life is so much better. Even the new friend I have is from Florida. That's an area with a lot of water, but we already know Florida is cuckoo for Cocoa Pops. This is what I'm saying. Up north women don't have time for all that. These men that was bragging and ragging on about women and the way that they were talking about the southern woman. They was ragging on about her. They wasn't ragging on about the northern woman. A lot of those men were not at the level to even get one. Do you ever notice the alternative Black woman gets what she wants in a relationship? The alternative Black woman gets exactly who she wants in a relationship. I have a friend, she said to me, "I know people who listen to metal and they have partners that don't, and I just can't do it. I could never imagine myself being with somebody who doesn't listen to it too or engage in who I am." She has a very dominant personality. So therefore, if you're not at the level of what she is, she don't want to deal with you. This is the northern woman. You can't say to a northern woman, well, he doesn't own the bus, but he's just a bus driver and you can go be with him. You can't say that to a northern woman. Especially if she is fucking at the top of the company of the bus drivers. She ain't trying to fuck with nobody that drive the bus. You cannot present that to a northern woman. You know why northern people or women in colder regions are this way? because of the non-black men, the non-black males in the culture, the non-black women in the culture. See, we're not told, nobody wants to talk about that part. The non-black women of the culture are this way. They're not having a lot of babies. They're educating themselves. They go traveling abroad. And they are the women who will talk to you and give you the information and tell you that you need to focus on your education. Don't you think you should have focused on your education before you had a baby? They would tell you stuff like this. But see, I noticed something in life. When you're destined to be something more than what you are, you're going to have people to talk to you like that. You're going to have people to say to you, bitch, what the fuck are you doing? What the fuck are you doing with your life? You have to take that as a great blessing. When you have people who will tell you, don't be no baby maker. Nah, go back to school. Nah, make sure you go work out. You're gaining weight. You got to appreciate people like that, because you got people who overweight and they got up to 10 kids and ain't nobody saying nothing to them. But you got somebody saying something to you. Some kind of spirit guide that's over you, protecting you, is like got somebody saying something to your ass. You should appreciate that. And that's the life of the up north woman. There's very simple, logical conversations that you bring to a Southern woman that she'll look at you crazy for saying. There's very simple, logical conversations that you think you could present to her that she won't even understand, because she's so far gone in the lifestyle that she has lived. And the reality is that she's jealous of the woman up north. But what she doesn't realize is the woman up north built herself. This woman right here, I already know, because I've had plenty of friends like her. I have plenty of people in my life that I've met like her. She's on the go. She focused on herself. She's going to get what the fuck she need to get. She loves herself. You can't tell her brown skin, her face is not attractive. And she carries herself that way. The Southern woman has a harder time with herself as a Black woman. She has a harder time. You are a threat as a Northern woman, especially a Black one, especially one of color, who speak a certain way, who carry yourself a certain way, who's sharp, who's smart, who's quick-witted, who actually even ignores people and focuses on yourself when you come into the room. And you have to understand that the Southern woman, she doesn't have that in her to do it. Unless she spends time up north, maybe she can learn to do that. And here's the thing too. The downside, here's the thing to why the up north woman can sometimes be afraid. If she's afraid, she has to examine what's around her and who's around her and why she's not moving. Because that's what she does. There's a consciousness that you have as an up north woman that the Southern woman doesn't have. It takes her years. It takes her to get old to have that level of wisdom. We get it young. We get it early. We have to learn quick. It was like what one coworker said to me. She was like, "You're not mean. You have a discerning spirit." I was like, "I have a discerning spirit and I'm mean. I am mean. This is how I am at work." She said, "Everybody up north just has that discerning spirit." I said, "Yeah, that's true. But we're intelligent. We're smart. We don't like fucking up and making horrible choices. We're not okay with that. We don't do okay with that. There's a way that we do life that builds us and prepares us with age. I woke up today and I love my algorithm. I came across this article today. It said, let me find it. No, I'm not going to screen share. I'm not screen sharing no more. Tiny decisions that will slowly turn you into a miserable and unhappy person in 5 years from now. And just before that, I was reading a book. I was listening to an audiobook. I fell asleep listening to the audiobook. I woke up listening to the audiobook. And it feels like that's why I woke up so early today. I was like, why the fuck am I up so early? This is crazy. And then I came across this article. And I'm going to actually like start really opening this journal and taking notes. Okay? And it's really good. It's written by Tina Fey. It's really good. And it goes into, you dismiss your inner comfort as just tiredness. There's a restlessness that visits all of us from time to time. It might look like procrastination or irritability or emotional distance, but instead of listening to it, you tell yourself you're just tired. You scroll instead of journaling, you pour a drink instead of going for a walk. You power through work instead of asking why your chest feels tight. 1 second, water. Tiny decisions, but repeated every day. It conditions you to ignore your emotional compass. It deadens your ability to notice when something's off. Eventually, you lose touch with your own intuition. And when that happens, you'll be drifting, not steering. Okay, that's one of them. You say yes when you mean no. Okay. You avoid hard conversations because now's not the right time. Nobody wants to have uncomfortable conversations, but the people who become unhappy versions of themselves are usually the ones who avoid the talk that could have changed everything. They don't express their need in a relationship. They don't confront the friend who keeps crossing a line. They don't bring up what's bothering them at work. They wait and wait and wait. Okay. Tiny avoidance repeated weekly. All right, let's go. 1 second. You tell yourself you'll deal with your health later. This is deadly right here. This one right here is a big whammy. The most tragic thing about poor health is that it really announces itself loudly at first. Whew. Yeah, listen to that. The most tragic thing about poor health is that it really announces itself loudly at first. It just happens. You chase easy wins instead of building long-term meaning. This one is dangerous because it looks like you're being productive. You reply to emails fast. You buy a course you'll never finish. That one I felt attacked. You publish content for the dopamine hit. You obsess over metrics, numbers, minor achievements, but you never stop to ask, does this actually matter? You sacrifice the deep work, the uncomfortable, slow soul aligned work for quick validation. And after 5 years, you might have built something that looked impressive on the outside, but it'll feel hollow because you never found the why behind it. You treat time. See that one was good. That one right there. That one said you chase easy wins instead of building long-term meaning. Says this one right here. You treat time like it's infinite. You think you can always call your parents later. You assume your partner will always be there. You believe opportunities will keep coming. And so you let moments slip. So you let moments slip by. You half listen to conversation. You scroll during dinner. You cancel plans you actually would have enjoyed, not because you're bad, but because you're busy, distracted, numb, but time isn't infinite. Okay. And when it finally hits you, maybe in a hospital room, maybe when someone leaves, maybe when it's too late to fix it, you'll realize you didn't lose time, you wasted presence. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. That this is what came across me this morning. You prioritize comfort over courage. You stay in the job that bores you, you stay in the city that drains you, you stay in a life you've outgrown. Because at least it's familiar. You don't take risks, you don't follow a pull of your soul, you don't initiate the change you know is needed. It feels like stability. Huh? Wait. You don't initiate the change you know is needed. It feels like stability, but in 5 years what you'll feel is regret. Okay? That's in italics, by the way, the word regret. Because nothing kills the spirit more quietly than comfort you didn't earn. Ooh. Tell me you don't got to write these notes down. Okay? Because nothing kills the spirit more quietly than comfort you didn't earn. This shit about to go on my wall, baby. I'm not playing. That shit about to hit the bathroom mirror in sticky notes. I'm going back to the hanging stuff on the wall era, the moment. Right here around my desk, around my flowers. But in 5 years, what you'll feel is regret. Because nothing kills the spirit more quietly than comfort you didn't earn. Let's go. You stop doing the things that made you feel alive. Ooh, this one hurts. Yes, it does. She wrote that. Because it happens slowly. It happens slowly, baby. Maybe you used to write or play guitar or dance or hike or paint or swim. Ladies, as Bill Burr would say, this is the semen chemical warfare right here. You got to pay attention to this. This is the toxic people around you. You got to pay attention to this right here. But now you don't because life got busy. And the excuses are reasonable. You're building your business, you're raising your kids, you're managing real adult responsibilities. But what you're really doing is starving your soul. And the version of your 5 years from now, they'll look back and wonder where the color went. This bitch can write. All right. Okay. All right, Tina. Where the color went. Because the way she write, I know this is for me, but I'm going to share this with y'all. All right. Okay, let's go. You settle for shallow connections. Small talk becomes the norm. I hate small talk. You don't say what you really think. You avoid emotional depth. Hold on. Still scrolling. All these advertisements and shit, y'all. Hold on. Hold on, y'all. And again, these are the kind of things that an up north woman takes in for herself. She doesn't need to go to nobody's religious facility or church to get this information. She receives it for herself. I need to discipline myself more. She's going to read a book on discipline. Hold on, because it's still scrolling up. She's going to read a book on discipline. I need to learn how to manage everything that I want to do. She's going to take herself and she's going to find out a book to manage everything that she do. I actually asked Chira 7, right? I said, what do you do when you have multiple things that you're talented in that you're doing? And her fucking response, remember she's from the South. She said, stop doing so many things at once. Just focus on one thing. But a Northern woman wouldn't have answered that way. A Northern woman would have recommended a book about time management and project management, correct? You see the difference? Because people who are successful, because remember, up north, we get to physically see the success. We can live in the projects and a mansion can be across the street from us. We could live in the projects and down the street is $1 million apartments. We can live in a project and see a goddamn beachfront. So the mind automatically is like, how the fuck do I get that? How do I work to get there? How do I get this success? How do I put myself in these spaces to get to that level of success? Because we know the first thing that comes with that level of success comes a mindset. Okay? You settle for shallow connections. Small talks becomes the norm. You don't say what you really think. You avoid emotional depth. Not because you don't crave it, but because you fear being too much or too intense or just misunderstood. So you perform, you blend in, you stay surface level. You go down to their level. You'll never truly know, but at least you're not rejected. Ooh. You're never truly known, but at least you're not rejected. It's a tiny decision, but compounded, it leads to loneliness, the kind that doesn't go away when you're in a crowd. You keep trying to fix yourself instead of accepting yourself. I think this is the last one. This is one of the most subtle traps, especially for people who are into growth, spirituality, and self-development. You're always trying to heal, improve, and optimize, but the subtext is, I'm not enough yet. Mm-hmm. You read the books, you do the meditation, you analyze your attachment style, but you don't actually like yourself. Ooh, like was also italicized as well. In 5 years of that, question mark, you have built the illusion of growth, but underneath it, the same core wound will be untouched. You have built the illusion of growth, but underneath it, the same core wound will be untouched. Quote, I am only lovable if I'm better than who I am now, end quote. I am only lovable, write that down, if I'm better than who I am now. That's for you. You forget to define success on your own terms. This one is deadly. This is actually, I think, the last one, because if you don't define it, someone else will. Then I just explained that being from up north and seeing success in your face like that, you begin to define success in your own terms. That's the hustle that you begin to do. That's the little business that you begin to start. That's the little table that you set up and you start selling your shit. That's your website that you build. That's the flyers you start hanging up out here. The algorithm, because if you don't define it, someone else will. The algorithm, your parents, society, that friend you secretly compare yourself to. Damn, what the fuck? That one I thought was kind of like, wow, okay. All right, we're scrolling again. You'll chase a life that looks impressive but feels exhausting. You'll achieve things you never wanted. You'll wonder why you feel empty after hitting the next goal. Success isn't a formula, it's a feeling. And if you ignore that, you'll succeed your way into misery. All right, we're going to get into the final thoughts. She said, if some of these hit you, that's a good thing. This isn't about judgment, it's about awareness. Because a life you end up with isn't shaped by massive events. It's scoped by hundreds of tiny decisions. Quiet moments when you either turn towards yourself or away. And if you're willing to notice those moments, you can interrupt the trajectory. You can stop the slow drift into a life that doesn't fit. You can let me read that again. And if you're willing to notice those moments, question mark, by the way, you can interrupt the trajectory. I said it right the first time. You can stop the slow drift into a life that doesn't fit. you can make one tiny decision that leads to a different 5 years. One tiny decision to make to a different 5 years. Not overnight, not dramatically. You see? Tiny decisions, y'all. But hold on, I'm not finished. But quietly, powerfully, sustainably, the same way it all began. Damn, that was powerful. That was good. That one slapped me right in my heart. But why did I come across this? Because energetically, that audiobook, oh, she's Asian. Okay, she has other articles. 8 Habits of Millionaires That Make Them Highly Successful. People who always need to have the last word usually had these 7 childhood experiences, according to psychology. People who make their bed every morning without fail tend to have these 7 strengths. I used to do that all the time. I need to get back. People who had to parent their parents usually develop these 7 traits, according to psychology. 7 quirky behaviors only genuine introverts will relate to. 8 signs you are talking to a conversational narcissist. Ooh, I gotta check that out. I like that title. And then she has, if you wait hours to reply, even though you saw it instantly, you might relate to these 7 personality habits. People who never have anything nice to say about others usually had these 7 childhood experiences. The art of micro connections, 8 small daily actions that build stronger relationships. 8 most common reasons for divorce in America. That's funny. The Asian woman wrote that. I could imagine what she has to say there. But I like her. I'm gonna read some more stuff by her. I'm gonna definitely take notes from this one here. Her name is Tina Fey. It said tiny decisions that will slowly turn you into a miserable and unhappy person in 5 years from now. So just know that even, like I said, the up north woman is not running to nobody's church for answers. She looks in the mirror. Okay? She looks in the mirror and she says, what the fuck is wrong? And she starts with looking in her own face and she starts with looking at her body. She says, what the fuck is wrong? She says, what is it that I need to change now? And that's what she changes. She doesn't go into somebody's churches and sit down at the pew, whatever you call it, in the chairs, in the crowd, and listen to a man tell her or somebody tell her or read a book to her. Hold on, y'all. Like I said, she goes. It's just funny. Somebody just knocked on my door. She goes and have somebody read a book to her. The Northern woman reads her own book. I'm laughing because someone literally just was like, "Can I read a Bible verse to you?" I thought it was my neighbor. I'm like, who the fuck are these people at my door? Yeah. It's that part. She reads a book for herself. She self-reflects. Okay? The Northern woman, she has her own sense of independence, even in hard times. And I'm going to tell you something, Northern woman. I need you to understand something, especially the very alternative, eclectic, you know who I'm talking to. You need to understand that you have to remain who and what you are. And you need to understand that there are many people who are not going to get you, and there's many people who are not going to be at your level. I need you to understand that. And you need to always put yourself in a space as yourself. Okay? You need to understand, up north woman, that the very southern woman will always be jealous of you. She will always innately, something in her will be jealous of you. Even if she may admire who you are and want to be your friend, she's jealous of you. She's only wanting to be a friend to you because she wants to be energetically what you are because it's attractive to males. This is why you have all these southern women who are claiming to be spiritual and all this shit, because she's not doing nothing but copying the northern woman and the spirituality and practices of the northern woman that gets her what she wants, but she doesn't understand that. I know of a southern woman right now who claims to be spiritual, but her relationships are shit. You ain't no spiritual woman. You know why? Because a spiritual woman knows how to get what the fuck she wants. And a northern woman damn sure knows how to get what the fuck she wants. In exactly the way that she wants it. However it takes to get it. Southern woman doesn't have that same mentality. She doesn't know how to have that. Even when Shira 7 is sitting here and she's telling you about, whatever she's telling you and all this type of stuff about males and, and get you this and get money and do all this kind of shit, there's still no depth. It's funny. We laugh at it, but there's still no depth. You know what I'm saying? Excuse me, y'all. Ooh. Oh, I needed that stretch, huh? You have depth to the woman up north, more than what you see. I'm going to play another video, fair use. Play a clip. Let me just play the latest one that she did because I'm curious what she had to say. I haven't listened to it.
A year ago, I made a video about how we fight fascism, and I got a lot of backlash from leftists online because I said what is considered very controversial. I said that we need to form a coalition between leftists and liberals to fight fascism. And I want to clarify, I don't mean invite the liberal that you don't trust to the communist meeting. No, that's fucking stupid. And I really hate that y'all jump to conclusions based on what someone says. If you want clarity in what someone says, just ask them, is this what you mean? Instead of being catastrophic in your thinking, especially to someone who's autistic. Like, I mean what I say and I say what I mean. So if you are inferring something different to what I'm saying, that's something that you're picking up on. Anyway, this is what liberals are supposed to be doing. They're supposed to be flying and making people.
Okay. She said, I wish people would just ask me before they assume what the fuck I'm saying. Then I can just tell you what I mean. But if she was from the South, she would have clowned them. She would have joked. She would have called them all kind of names and all kind of shit like that, kicks and giggles. And to Southern people, the argument I've heard a Southern woman say, it's like, you know, up North people, y'all serious. Y'all just serious. Y'all don't. When When Southern people get out of Facebook jail, we make an announcement and we laugh about it. Y'all up north people, y'all don't do that, and this, that, and the third. And I think about it now, and I'm like, that's fucking childish. Hell yeah, a lot of up north people probably feel some type of way because we probably invested a lot into that page and probably got some kind of business or something they sell it. That's why it's a problem. This is what I'm saying. And I say this because, you know, I do have a partner from the South and I listen to her talk and I look at what she watches on TikTok and I listen to the people she watches and I'm just like, these motherfuckers is just not serious. These motherfuckers is not serious. And this is going back to what I'm saying about the manosphere. It's the same thing. It's the same thing with the manosphere. These all from the South. These males don't even wear suits properly. They don't have their hair together. They don't have a sense of style. None of them. They don't even moisturize their skin. This is all a part of, is all connecting. Even the way in which she carries herself. If she did a video about her health and her routine, she will be talking in a very calm, monotone, melodic type of voice. And she would be giving you information about it. But if it was a Southern woman, she'll be talking really fast and she'll be making jokes and she'll be saying this and boop and this and that and extra shit. So this is why you got to understand the manosphere and the divested Black women, why they are the same sign of the same, you know, two different sides of the same coin. Okay. Why is that? Because they all come from that Southern experience. They all come from that a bit of hee ha ha childish experience. That's why it's so much racism, because that's childish as well. That's why it's so much of Confederate flags and extra shit going on, because that's childish as well. Because the up north person who understands flags and all of that, we know that if you wear a flag, that means that you have been conquered. You've been conquered. And more than likely conquered by someone who is not of your culture. Colonized. And this is what I need everyone to understand. This is why you notice these Southern men, when they meet a Northern woman, the next thing you know, hey, now they're all into her. And they're looking like, wait, didn't you talk all this shit about Black women? And it's like, well, what happened over here? Because he met the kind of depth that he's been seeking in this woman. He met something that has substance, what he's been seeking, and he found it in a Black woman. Okay? And that's what it's all about. And a lot of times, some of the women don't even be American women. Also, The Northern woman, if not majority of the time, she don't just come from an Indian background. She's more than just Indian. She probably comes from a Caribbean background. She can possibly, it's even possible for her, if she comes from the Caribbean, she can come from an Asian background. She can come from a Latin background. And it can go on and on and on. And these different backgrounds of people who respect education, knowledge, and wisdom. Okay. Understand, excuse me, y'all, I'm still here. Sip of some water. Understand too that if you want the link to come on, then come on. Let me know. Hit up the chat room, push one, whatever. I drop the link. I usually never drop the fucking link, but I'm gonna just drop it if you got something to say. I'm just coming to this and I'm just sharing my thoughts. You know what I'm saying? This is just my thoughts of what I've been seeing and where I've been going with things. Because what the fuck was that my alarm? Because I realize how different, you know, like I'm starting to see it now in a way I didn't. Now really understanding what it is. And really understanding what it is to really be from up north and the mentality and everything that comes with it. I dropped the link just in case y'all don't want to type in the chat room. Y'all could just jump up. If y'all want to say something. I never dropped the link. So I dropped the link for y'all to pull up, say what you got to say. If you possibly want this article, I probably can drop it to you as well. That's why I told you the lady's name. Thought that was an incredible article. I've decided to share it in this moment, even though I understand why that article came across my algorithm in my life, because hey, it's a part of something in my life that I'm starting to see. And this is why when you talk to me, I always encourage getting a journal, writing things down. And I mean it when I tell you to write things down. And I mean it when I tell you, like, hey, get a burn book and write things down about yourself. This is all me stepping you into the world of doing some kind of shadow work for yourself. This is all me giving you the steps of doing the little things to get to the step to where you got to go. Also, writing things down helps you begin to map out how you can get to the steps of the things that you got to do. And also pay attention around you, what happened in your life and who was the people around you and why did it happen that way, and understand things so you can get rid of it. So you can let that be bridge, water under the fucking bridge in your life. Because you have to understand it's your mentality, it's your spirit at that time in your life. It's probably who you were messing around with at that time in your life. You have to look at so much aspects to how you made the choices you made. I can say that I have built accolades for myself. I have built so much skill work for myself. I have read so many books and I've taken so many notes from the books that I've read. I've done a lot. I made the choice of celibacy for most of my 30s, and I would have done it longer. I made the choice of me before I decided to go out here and date and live in my truth. And that's all that matters. That's all that matters. And so when you come here to this platform, that's why someone like me is saying the things that I said. Because it's all that matters. At the end of the day, it's going to be about you. At the end of the day. At the end of the day, there's things in my life, there's people in my life I do not like. It is what it is. And I made my decision, and I've seen everything that I need to see, and I'm moving on. But that's my own personal life. Some may say you could do things different. I don't know how. I don't know how. There's no way for me to. It may take me another 5 years to do something different if I have the time to even get there to do something different. But at this time in my life, it's a lot of walking away. It's a lot of acceptance and a lot of walking away. And that's where I'm at in my life at this time. It's a lot of going back to the drawing board, taking notes from articles like these, and coming on platforms such as a podcast platform to really do a stable study presentation for everybody for what I talk about. And to get back into my groove of writing a lot again. Get back into my art groove. All of these things matter to me in my life. A lot of things I begin to realize what is a distraction? What are the distractive things that I need to stop doing? How can I utilize my time in my life? How can I utilize the time in my life? What is a waste of time in my life? Am I wasting my time? Where are certain things going in my life? These are all the things that I think about. Only to get back into all the things that I love. What she said, Shira 7, no. Time management. People have multiple things that they do, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's about time management. That's why you open up a book and you learn how to do time management, and you learn how to do discipline, and you learn how to do consistency. That's what that's all about. And this is what the problem. This is the great divide between up north and down south. Remember, Georgia boy Tommy Sotomayor came up north with that Georgia boy shit running his mouth, and nigga punched him in the face. He got punched dead in his shit. He's like, what the fuck? This nigga stole my shit. Where the fuck this nigga at? He don't even know where he didn't even understand who hit him. Welcome to New York City, nigga. That's what happens. If fucking Crystal Swirls was right there in front of the divestors' face, she would have put a beating on all them bitches. Okay? This is what I'm saying. But here's the thing. There are some things that are serious, and they become serious at a certain time in your life. And this is why I say to everybody, you can't trust married motherfucking. There's these motherfuckers out here that's married, and you can't trust what they have to say. You better off with the person in multiple relationships, failed marriages, whatever. That person could tell you a lot about motherfucking life, if you ask me. They had the experience too. You have people who have this underhanded mean behavior and shit online because that's not who they are outside of online. They're not that person. And this is the part of what makes me walk away from like certain aspects of social media. This is what makes me want to just live life authentically with people in my face together, art sketching, whatever, authentically, or just with myself. I get exhausted. I do. I get very exhausted. Social media is draining. All right. I need to go cop a nap before I get back up again. I appreciate y'all. Nobody pulled up. It's cool. I get it. You know what I'm saying? It's cool. I'm out of here. Catch you next time.